What is up, guys? Sophie here, back with another topic. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you are new here, and also hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on all my content. And also don't forget to check the description box because I always put a lot of stuff in there, including my book specifically for single women. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about masculine and feminine energy when it comes to Ruth and Boaz. If you are not familiar with masculine and feminine energy, all it is just kind of roles that men and women take on. I am not saying that men and women are unequal. Don't get it twisted. I know how people like to get carried away. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying there are certain roles that men and women can take on, especially when it comes to courting or pursuing or dating, in which this works best. And I'll also link my video down below in regards to Esther and how she used feminine energy to capture the king, right? So that you can also get an idea on how this works. So first, we're going to get into some masculine traits when it comes to Boaz, right? The best masculine traits that Boaz has is that and it says this in Ruth chapter 2, that now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a great man with influence and wealth, a femme from Elimelech whose name was Boaz. The reason why the Bible mentioned that is because honestly, and it's not like, oh, you need to be a gold digger and you need to be looking for a man with great wealth or whatever, right? Let's not get carried away, but really the type of man that you should automatically be looking for is a man that has his life together. He should be a provider. He should have directions. He should have goals. He should have something going on for himself, because ultimately what he needs to be able to be that type of man for you. And we even see that when Naomi is speaking to Ruth in verse 3:1, and she specifically says, after, Ruth has met Boaz, she said, "My daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be well provided for." So there's nothing recognizing that having a provider as a male, that this is a very masculine trait. But not only is it a masculine trait, but more than anything, a man should want to do this, right? Because after Boaz met Ruth in the field, right? And there's two things that I want to kind of mention here. So prior to going to the field, Ruth specifically put herself in position to go into the field of Boaz. As a feminine woman, it's okay to put yourself in position. It is not okay to chase, but it is okay to put yourself in a position to be found, which I also have a video on, and I will link that down below. Because specifically in Ruth chapter 2, verse 2, it says, "And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, 'Please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after one of the reapers in whose sight I might find favor.' Naomi said, 'Go, my daughter.'" And so really, she positioned herself in the field to go meet Boaz. So I also want to say this. As a feminine woman, if you want to put yourself in a position to be found, this is also that you need to have some integrity. It does depend on where you are placing yourself to determine what type of man that you're going to be found. Remember, we already said that Boaz was a man of great wealth and he was a great man of influence. So basically, she was putting herself in position or working under Boaz at this point, being in his field, in order to be recognized with him. What Ruth did not do was go start an OnlyFans in order to be half naked so that she can be found by some men, or so that men can look at her womanly charms and want to be with her. I mean, I know back then OnlyFans did not exist, but you get the point. Ruth did not say in this that we starving, we're hungry, let me go be a prostitute, or let me go sleep with men to go find money. She still had some integrity in the way that she is. And honestly, she still worked. There's nothing about you can be a feminine woman and you can still work, because really that's what she was doing. They didn't have no food. She was going in the field to go get grain, hoping to find favor with somebody, and she did with Boaz. But she had integrity, and that is actually what turned Boaz onto her. So in regards to a feminine woman, it's like, be about your business, have your life together. And I have a video on this where it specifically says, what does a man say, what to say when a man tells you to get your life? Because what Boaz saw in her was that she still had her life together. When he came home and he saw Ruth up in the field, he was like, "Yo, Harpo, who this woman?" to his people, right? And they was like, she has came and she said, "Let me gather among the sheaves," and she has been working early morning up until now. So basically, what Boaz saw in her is that she was willing to do whatever she needed to do in order to provide for her own. And so I actually am going to read from verse 2:10, because we're going to see some attributes, some feminine attributes that attracted Boaz to Ruth. So the first is that once Boaz came up to Ruth because he had heard about her through other people, and that's another attribute of a feminine woman, right? You just exist. You just are. You don't need to go and tell men who you are and tell men what you're doing and tell men the type of person and be so aggressive and abrasive with it. You just exist in your realm where you are. And if a man wants to inquire about you, they can do that, because really Boaz did chase Ruth, but Ruth still put herself in position. So don't get it twisted. Just because Ruth put herself in position does not mean that she now needs to take on the aggressor role. All she had to do was just sit there and mind her business. Boaz went ahead and inquired about her. Ruth was like, ask about me. And then he did. And he found what I'm about to say, found out that she was a hard worker. And then we're going to go into verse 2:10. Then when Boaz came up to Ruth, it says, then she kneeled face down, bowing to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes that you should notice me when I am just a foreigner? And Boaz answered her, I have been made fully aware of everything that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to the people that you did not know before. Stop. What is Boaz saying that he is observing about her? First, when she kneeled down, bowing before the ground, don't do that. That's a little bit dramatic. But basically, what she was showing was some humility, and she was showing some thankfulness. And I put this in my video on how to be a prize in a man's eyes, because I think oftentimes women can they tend to miss this, right? Saying thank you, being nice, having a humble attitude can really take you a long way. Instead of if Boaz would have approached her, she'd be like, oh, what you want? We trying to holler at me? What you, being rude or whatever. She was very thankful, because at the end of the day, she was up in his field and he didn't have to let her get any of his grain or do any of that. And so she did show some thankfulness in regards to that. And then also what Boaz was talking about was her nurturing ability. I have been made aware that everything that you have done for your mother-in-law. And what that symbolizes to a man is that, she can be that for me. Don't make a mistake that just because a man is a masculine man, that they don't want a nurturer, that they don't want to be coddled, that they don't want to come home from a long day at work and they don't want you to be there to have some type of comfort. And even in my video that I posted on are you being guarded and are you running away, good man, I specifically said that when a guy was saying that he was having issues with his wife because every time he came home, she acted like she didn't want to be there. She did not want to touch him or cuddle him or be emotional. And what he was saying is that he needs that. So don't make the mistake, and just because they're men, that they're not looking at your ability to nurture them. And that's exactly what Boaz was saying. Like, oh, if she was this faithful to her dead husband in regards to a mother-in-law, and she cares this much about her mother-in-law, especially in regards to her husband that's now dead, then how would she treat me? And so really these type of observations or these type of feminine characteristics that she had is really what attracted Boaz. Now we're going to go into the provider aspect of Boaz, right? Because we already know that Boaz has already or he can be a provider. We know that because he owns the freaking field, right? But more importantly is that not only did Ruth allow herself to be courted, which is a feminine trait, but Boaz also initiated the courting. As a feminine person, you stay where you're at, right? If a man don't want to take you out on a date, if a man don't want to do this, if a man don't want to do that, if a man don't want to do that, then you just leave, right? You should not have to beg a man to take you out on a date, beg a man to want to spend time with you, or beg a man to want to do anything for you. Either they want to do it on their own because that is the type of man that they are, or they don't. So then we go into when Boaz practically impromptu asked her out on a date. He said, come over here and eat some of the bread and dip your bread in vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he served her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied. And she had some left over for Naomi. When she got up to glean, Boaz ordered his servants, let her glean among the sheaves and do not insult her. Also, you shall purposely pull out some stalks of grain from the sheaves and leave them so that she may collect them, and do not rebuke her. So what was Boaz doing? He was courting her and providing for her without her even knowing it. Because first he said, come in, let me feed you, girl. Let me go ahead and feed you. And also, as she got up and she worked again, he told the people that was working for him to intentionally pull out more food and drop them for her so that she can take them home, because he was being a provider. provider. And this is what we talked about in the earlier verse when Naomi said, you know, oh, I must find a home for you where you will be provided for. And it also mentioning that Boaz was a man of great wealth and influence, because if they are that, they're not going to be selfish when it comes to you or showing you that they can be a provider for you. It's not, because if Ruth ended up with him, which they did, he wanted to show her like, yeah, you hungry now because they was, but I can provide for you. I can keep you safe. And even we see that when Ruth specifically spoke to Boaz, when he told her to go back out in the field, he said, listen carefully, my daughter. Do not glean in another field or leave this one, but stay close to my maids, because somebody could have raped her. So he was basically showing, I am protecting you as a man. That is a masculine trait. Watch which field they reap and follow behind them. I have commanded the servants, do not touch you. And when you are thirsty, to go to the water jars and drink from what the servants draw. So basically he was saying, and I have a video on how real men protect, provide, and profess that I'll link down below. But basically, not only was he automatically saying, don't go anywhere else because I don't want you to get raped. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want anybody to touch you, but I'm also going to give you food while you're here. And I'm also going to provide for you water while you're under my care. And so it proves to her that if you take me on as a husband, I can continue to provide these things for you. Ruth did not open her mouth once to ask for these things, because as a masculine man, you should just want to do these things as somebody you are interested in. And a man is about his action and not necessarily his words. What Boaz did not do is say, I can protect you, I can provide for you, and then he didn't do nothing. He didn't take her out on a date. He didn't do anything, but he showed her what type of man that he was by his actions, right? So let's get into some of the more feminine traits also that Ruth had to have while during this situation, right? Because now that she went home, Naomi noticed all the food that she had brought home for her. And the reason why, honestly, Boaz was bringing some food home, or allowed Ruth to bring more food home to her, because subconsciously he was also letting her family know, which was just Naomi in this case, it was just her, that also I can be a provider for Ruth, right? The reason why we know that is because as soon as Ruth entered where Naomi was, she saw the food and she was like, who took notice of you? She automatically knew that somebody had took notice of her, because Boaz was trying to send a message like, I'm coming for Ruth. Here's what I can provide for you. And it's not saying that a masculine man has to give your family anything, right? But if it comes to be a situation where a guy is meeting your family and they don't want to talk to your family, they want to be very secretive. They don't want to show what type of man they are, or they don't want to show your family that they can provide for you. Or if a man is living off of you and they can't even try to fake the funk that they can provide for you, then obviously that's a problem. They're not even trying to impress your family, right? And we actually see that in two specific times in the book of Ruth. The first time is when Ruth came back from the field. The second time was actually when Ruth came back from the threshing floor, and Ruth told Naomi what happened, and she said once again, he gave me the 6 measures of barley, and he said to me, do not go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed, because a real masculine man is going to want to not be all secretive with their family. They are going to want to show the public, your family, and everybody else that they are capable of providing for you, right? And we once again, we have to get out of this mindset of saying, oh, that's wrong, or that's a gold digger mentality. It's not. It's completely fine. So let's go ahead and back up into where Ruth was about to get ready to go to the threshing floor, because Naomi, once she saw that Boaz had expressed interest in Ruth by providing all of this food for them, she said, tonight Boaz will be at the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. She said that to Ruth because, once again, I cannot say it enough, and I have a video on this. I will link it down below, that it is okay to look visually appealing as a Christian woman. And a lot of the times that is what men are going to be attracted to, and that is a very feminine trait. And it even says that in the book of Esther, when she came before the king, before she was asking the king for something, she put on her best royal robes before she came in front of him. Ruth did not come to Boaz looking all busted, all sweaty and stuff. I mean, yes, she was working, but Naomi said to wash, to smell nice. And so as a feminine woman, these are things that you also need to consider. Stop thinking that you can just be looking crazy and looking busted and, oh, a man is going to find me in my craziest looking way and I'm looking all like I don't have nothing, like I don't care about myself, because really that's what it says. When you don't take care of your temple, it is saying that I don't care about myself, and therefore they're going to look at you like, okay, but why should I care about you? And this is not, I'm not talking about plastic surgery. I'm not even talking about makeup. I'm just talking about going out according to your own personal best. Simple things like hygiene, simple things like smelling nice, simple things like washing, simple things like not going outside in pajamas and rollers, putting on clothes and looking presentable, or even when you go out on a date, looking presentable. There's nothing wrong with that, because Ruth was appealing to his masculine nature as a feminine woman, that I need to look visually appealing because men are visually appealing or attracted to women. And there's not anything wrong with understanding that, and to have respect for yourself and to treat yourself like that as a woman is subconsciously sending the signal to the man that I care about myself, so you also need to care about me too. Once again, it doesn't take me announcing, oh, I got dressed up for you or anything like that. You just simply exist where you are, and he looks at you smelling all nice with your perfume, all clean with your hair done up, looking all good, and it automatically symbolizes to him the feminine aspect of yourself. Okay. And so at this point, they went through this whole song and dance. Ruth did with Boaz. She went through this entire song and dance when it came to Boaz, and did what Naomi told her to do in regards to the Jewish custom. And Boaz made intentions right then and there to marry Ruth, but he had to do some steps first, basically, right? And I have another video on how Ruth put herself in position to be found that goes into more detail about this, and I'll link it below. So anyway, when she came home, once again, he sent her back home with some food, and then she said, okay, well, what happened? And then Ruth told her, he plans to marry me or whatever. And Naomi said, sit and wait, my daughter, until you learn how this matter turns out. For the man, well, she didn't even say his name. For the man will not rest until he has settled this day. There are two statements here. The feminine attribute is to sit and wait, my daughter. This does not require you to make a man marry you, to force a man to marry you, to do the most, to do this, to do that, to force, to nag, to talk, to speak, to make. And a lot of women naturally want to do this, but see, what did Naomi say after that? A man will not rest until it has been settled today, because a real man who really has intentions for you, who really wants to marry you, who really is a person of his actions, which we have seen this entire time that Boaz is, based on what he has done, that he is going to follow through and do what he said he is going to do and make Ruth his wife. And it is not going to require her to run her mouth and do a whole bunch of yada, 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 and to make and to force and to try to, make him get an engagement ring and to nag him, oh, we've been dating, all this other type of thing. He just wants to do that, and he takes action in doing that. And her role as a feminine woman is to sit and wait. What I'm not saying is that you sit and wait for 10 and 7 and all this years and just say, well, Sophia told me to wait and wait for him. No, because at that point, like Naomi said, he will not rest until it is settled today. Yeah, man, I might not want to marry you today, but if his intentions is to really marry you, then he is going to take action on that. Just like Boaz did. He literally that day went and settled the matter and made it so that Ruth could be his wife. It wasn't where he was dragging his feet or anything like that. If anywhere you notice that a man does not have intentions for you, that he does not have any of these characteristics that I was talking about, that Boaz has showed her, or that he is wasting your time, then you leave. That is what the sit and waiting is. You sit and you wait, or you leave. The nagging, the talking, the forcing, the yelling, none of that is a feminine characteristics. What you need to do as a woman is you have to be, or a feminine energy person, right, is that you have to be receptive. The moment that they don't want to, give you what you are requiring, in this case, she was requiring marriage, that's just how it was, then I'm sure Naomi would have been like, okay, Ruth, you need to go. This is not about begging and making anybody do anything. But see, Naomi knew that Boaz was not going to do that, because the type of man that he has shown was that through all of this, that he is a provider. Boaz showed Naomi, which is the mother-in-law, that he is a provider by kept sending her food. And also Naomi knew that he had protected Ruth by saying, come glean in my field, so that nobody else would take advantage of you. So the family, everybody was full confident in what Boaz was going to do as a man, as a masculine man, because of who he had shown himself to be. So what can we learn from all of this? That, during the dating situation, women need to stop necessarily taking on the courting or the masculine or the assertive role when it comes to dating, because a man who really wants you will kind of show you that. It does not require you chasing, doing, forcing, or any of that. And any indication of a man who does not want to take you out on a date, a man when you get to know him who shows you that he's incapable of being a provider and whatever that is for you. I'm not saying we all have to be millionaires or anything like that. We all have our own personal stipulations. Any way that a man shows you that he does not want to protect you, i.e. he is kicking you out in the middle of the night after sleeping with you at 3:00 in the morning and make you walk 4 blocks to your car without even walking you, knowing that you could get like raped or something, then, that is not a man for you. So it's like some of the things that you can learn from Boaz is that you need to learn the masculine traits, and also you need to learn how to sit in your femininity, because remember, like we said at the beginning of the video, the only thing Ruth did was put herself in position. That's all she did. She really, and then she came to the threshing floor, which once again was just being receptive and showing her eligibility for marriage. And so in a feminine way, that is, I am flirting with you, or I'm making eye contact, or I'm smiling. This is how we can translate it to today's terms. Is if you see a guy, it's okay to smile, it's okay to flirt, it's okay to be open, to let them know that it's okay to approach you. And that's basically what Ruth was doing. But notice that for the most part, she was not the aggressor. She kind of was the receiver in the relationship, and she allowed Boaz to give to her. And this is not to say she didn't give anything, because what did we say? Boaz saw that she was a nurturer, that she had a humble personality, that she could be the type of wife that he wanted, because he saw the dedication that she had to her past husband and also to her in-laws. And he felt that she could bring the same type of energy or nurturability to her and also to their future children, right? Because that's good things to find in a woman in regards to like a wife and even a mother, is to be a nurturer. And like I said, men really do want to be nurtured. Don't ever think that, he don't want me to touch him or hug him. No, that's not true. They completely do. Okay. So I hope that definitely helped out, and I will definitely see you guys another day, another time. Bye, y'all. Not ready for the show to end? It doesn't have to. You can head over to my site where you can read hundreds of articles. And also you can feel free to shop my store where I have all of my products for sale. And last but not least, for even more video content, feel free to visit my YouTube channel where I talk about a wide array of content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and until next time, stay blessed.